All right. Poor little dude. I always think about my phone. It's like, why did a math teacher have to buy it? Too bad. Too bad phone. All right. Last thing we'll talk about from chapter 1. Yes?
Sorry, with the 11.754, that'll be continuous, right? Because it's the average?
No. So it's not the number. So that was a, what was that? I can't remember what that was. 11.754 was, I don't care, was the average number of people in a room. That's what it was. Do not look at the number. Look at what it's measuring. People in the room. Right? Not even average. This is what I did with what I'm measuring. I'm measuring people in the room. Can people in the room be any number? Between 0 and something. Could people in the room be 2.78644 people? Think about it. No. How many people could be in the room? 1, 0, 1, 2, 3. Am I skipping possible values? Mm-hmm. Oh, hell yeah. I'm skipping an infinite number, right? Thankfully, as a person comes in, it doesn't go up by half because we're like, well, I don't like that guy. No. Right? Does that make sense? I will give you the number. I will be evil. I'm a math teacher. I got an A+ in my evil course. I'm really good at it. I do that to make sure that you understand discrete and continuous is all about what it is I'm looking at, not the results of something. I'm looking at people in a room. That can only be a whole number. Is that all right? If I said some dude was about 6 foot tall, I get somebody tells me that's discrete because 6 is a whole number. That's bullshit. They were probably 5.9 or 6.1 or something, right? They just rounded it because we're humans. We're going to do that. We're going to round things. You guys with me? Yes. So don't look at the number when I give you this kind of problem. Look at what it's measuring. The weight of a backpack was. Who gives a crap? That's continuous because it could be anything between two numbers, right? It could be 4.87654. Don't even look at the number. Maybe. Okay. Now.
One more question, please.
Sorry.
Does discrete data also include questions that only have a binary answer?
Oh.
Like the previous example of like Grossmont graduates. Like someone's either
I see.
or they're
I
not.
see.
There's no such thing as half.
Discrete and continuous really apply just to numerical data.
Okay.
Yeah, because for non-numerical responses, there's not going to be a continuum. So if I said, for example, here's a really good example. Color. How many colors are there? You can't answer that because there's only certain colors that we see as humans. Some people are actually born with more rods or cones. I can't remember. Have you ever heard of this? There's some condition where you can see so many more colors than somebody else can see because you're born with more, it's either rods or cones in your eyes. Remember rods and cones in your eyes? Yes, okay. What was my point with that? Oh, yeah. So when we talk about color, names of colors, that would be, everything would be discrete then for names because there's not a continuum between words, right? Red doesn't become, and then there's like the next step over at 0.0000001 away from red. You guys, you with me? Now, if I said wavelengths of light, which might freak people out, I don't know, wavelengths of light, because wavelengths are what relate to color, then you would say that's continuous, because that's measuring something. That's continuous. The names we give to the colors we see would be discrete. So we don't even talk about continuous and discrete for non-numerical data. It would always be discrete. Yeah. There's not an infinite number of words we could use. Okay. All I got? Okay. Let me think. Oh, yeah. The last group of things we'll do, and then we're going to do some example problems. I would normally give us another break, but I'm going to let us out pretty early today. Don't get used to it. Just because I want to ease myself back in too, and I got to ease you back in. And you're probably, some of you guys are at your saturation point right now. I can see it in your eyes. So So ways to create, or I should say it better, ways to collect samples, right? So let's just get into this. There's several different ways to do this. We already talked about one of them. Random is always the ultimate goal. So we already discussed random and what it is. Every element in the population has an equal chance to be selected for the sample. If you can make sure, if you can show that you did everything you could to reach that goal, then I can trust your results. So a big piece of any article you see in a journal or something, and when they do statistical analysis, is explain to me how you tried to achieve this. If I don't agree with what you did, or if you don't even say it, I'm not gonna believe you at all. I'm not gonna look at your stuff at all. Doesn't mean crap to me unless you can show me you tried to do this. Okay. Let's see which order I'm going to do this in. Let's do this. There's something called systematic. Systematic, automatic. What do you think that is? Systematic. A systematic approach to collecting a sample. There must be some kind of a system to it. So for example, if I started with a random person and then I took every third person after that, right? That's a system to it. So a real quick way to say this is every nth item. So if I went outside, took the temperature every 20 minutes, take the temperature. Every 20 minutes, take the temperature. I have no idea what I'm holding my hand. Taking the temperature, Jeff. That's what I'm doing. The magical sensor thing, right? You guys, every 20 minutes, that's systematic. Every 11 feet, take some grass.
Yeah, grass. Every 11 feet, take grass.
Right? That's, I don't know why I got it.
Yeah.
It's grass. So every nth something, every nth minute, every third telephone off the assembly line in a phone factory, right? Maybe. I like it. This might be a little bit weird of a question, but when would systematic be a bad choice? That last example gives a possible answer.
If you were taking every 10th telephone off an assembly line, you might miss a flaw that only affects, like some kind of flaw in the mechanism that only pops up every 10 if the samples are.
Yes, I got you.
aligned.
So, like if I took every, or I might do the opposite, which is even worse. If I took every fourth phone, but my machine, I always, in my head, every factory has got one of these machines where it goes, ink, chunk, ink, chunk. So let's say there's 4 chunkers, right? So this 4th chunker is broken. So every 4th, they go, chunk, chunk, chunk. So that 4th one is screwed. So if I take every 4th phone, well, that's no good. That's all right. Just one so far. 4th is, oh, that was no good. That's all right. That was no good either. They all suck. So anything that is periodic, assembly line, there's a periodicity to it. Periodic, you guys know periodic? So like maybe there's something in the machinery that there is a spoke or something that will only show up every something. So then systematic would not be a good choice. Okay, I like it. Otherwise, this is a beautiful way to do things. Maybe. Then let's do, what you got, Jeff? Let's do these two. These next two have to kind of go together. Stratified and cluster. Because they both have the same first step. The first step on both of these is break the population into groups. So let's say I've got the population of Grossmont. Every Grossmont student is in a classroom somewhere, is in one of these 3 classrooms. They are really large. You guys with me? So, or it could be zip codes. Isn't that breaking the population up into groups? You're in a zip code, you're in a zip code, you're in a zip code. Stratified would say, this is sort of like somebody else said this earlier, take some from each group. So it'd be like, take 3 people from every zip code, take 5 people from every classroom. You guys with me so far? So stratify would be take some from all of these groups to be in my sample. become a word. If you do this. That's a word. Cool. You with me? So like in a high school, if you're going to say something about a decision, you want the students to be involved, you better take some from each class, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, because your sample could end up being only juniors and seniors, and then freshmen and sophomores like, hey, wait a minute. Right? That was me. I remember. Yes?
Okay, just to make sure I'm understanding it correctly, so for the second part, you're choosing some from each and creating a sample from what you
Yes,
chose.
I love it.
Would it be random?
So, yeah, and the great thing to remember is all of these are ultimately trying to be random. So your answer to a question about what kind of sampling technique did I use is almost never going to be random. It's going to be one of these. But this is still random, isn't it? If I randomly select somebody and then I take every fourth person after that, did everybody have a chance to be in that group? Yes, right now, before I do anything, everybody has a chance. Because it could start with you and then go every fourth person after you. Or it could start randomly with you, every fourth person after. So everybody had a chance to be in there. You with me? So your answer is going to be something else when there's a more, there's sort of like a method you're using to try to get this. This would only be if I said, I put everybody's name in a hat and I picked out a name. That's right. I'm not trying to put any sort of methodology to it at all. Okay. So stratified would be, you guys are a group, you guys are a group, you guys are a group. Let me take 4 from you, 4 from you, 4 from you. Stratified. You with me? Somebody will always tell me, well, so if I take these 4 right there, that's not random because she didn't have a chance. No. You can't say after I picked. They didn't. No. Before I picked, anybody could have been on my sample, right? Yes. Mm-hmm. You like it? So what the hell's up with cluster? Well, I love this cluster. What's that cereal? Honey Nut Clusters, right? So when you put your spoon in, you're going to get a whole freaking cluster, right? You're not going to put your spoon in, there's like a little piece of, no. So cluster really means you randomly select 2 groups or how many groups, and you take everybody from those. So watch this. Stratified is some from all. Cluster is all from some. Sorry, this is not a C word here. Too bad for you. But this one is an S word. Some from all is stratified, all from some is cluster, and together they sound like 3 Musketeers, but all for some and some for all, and screw the other people. So I would take, so my second step here is I would take everybody in these 2 into my sample, and these guys, no, I don't want you. Is that random? Is what I did random? Yes, because they had a chance. They had a chance. Before I did anything, I was going to randomly select some rooms and then take everybody from those rooms. That could have been one of the rooms I picked. Right? So don't look at after I take a sample and say, you didn't take anybody. No. They had a chance. Somebody's got to be left out at the end, though. Okay, maybe. And then the last one we already sort of talked about earlier. What are you guys as a group? You were what kind of sample? Anybody remember? Convenience sample. What it is basically in the name. So, all right. So here's the last thing we're going to do. I felt like I wasted enough paper, so I didn't want to print this out whatever many times. Yes?
What about like pulling out of a hat?
So that's random.
It would just be random.
That would just be random. I didn't put any other methodology on top of it. Right? Now here's it. All right. Since you brought this up. This is kind of related to a problem in the homeworks. This is kind of nifty. What if I had 3 hats? And I put names in all of them. Right? And then I chose... how do I want to put this? I chose 1 hat at random, and then I chose 1 person out of there. That hat I chose. What method is that? So I have 3 hats. I choose 1 of those 3 hats, and then I take 1 out of it.
Cluster.
I love your answer because yes and no. You're all completely right, completely wrong. It's random. Why is it not cluster? Because I didn't take everybody from that hat, did I? Cluster is supposed to be all from some. Why is it not stratified? Because I didn't take anything from those 2 hats. So that one's just like one hat, take one person out. 3 hats, pick a hat, take one person. Those are both random. You guys semi with me. Now, that one's a little bit evil. There is one problem in the homework that is, it's not involving hats, but it is basically that same idea. So we'll see if you notice it when you run across it. I'm not going to get deep into mixtures of these things, because you realize there are situations where you have to mix these things. Let me tell you this story. And you're like, dude, just do it. Don't ask us permission. All right. One semester I was teaching, and there was somebody who was in the Iraq War. And when I brought up cluster sampling, he kind of sat back and said, yeah, you're full of shit. I was like, okay. He's like, I know about cluster. Cluster's crap. I was like, all right, let's look into this. So I had him come to my office, and we discussed it. And I looked up online what he was talking about, and here's what it was. So you guys know about the Iraq War back in 2000. Well, we were attacking in 2001. We went in, and it was crazy. I'm not going to get into the politics of it. But not too long after Baghdad fell, they had people go in to test the neighborhoods out to see what the level of safety and so forth was, to see where things were. So they did cluster. They broke it up into groups, and they were going to take entire people from each group and talk to them. You with me? Mm-hmm. The problem was, this group of people, they weren't in the military. They were sort of a consultant firm or something. So they didn't do a true cluster. They said, well, that neighborhood is not safe. I'm not going there. So we're just going to pick from the safe neighborhoods. And then they published the report, and it was like, everything's great in Iraq. What's your problem? Do you guys see the problem with that? Why is that not really clustered? Why is it not really valid? Why isn't it random?
Because they picked.
Not all clusters had a chance.
Yeah, there were whole neighborhoods they left out on purpose. Obviously, did that bias the results? The results were obviously rosier than what was true. So I didn't blame. I was like, dude, I understand you're upset. I'm upset too. But that isn't a problem with this method. That's a problem with the application of this method. But I thought that was really interesting, especially the reaction. I don't normally get that kind of reaction from a terminology in cluster. And this guy's like, wow, that's bullshit, that's crap. What are you talking about? You use that shit? I was like, whoa, we got to discuss this. Anyway. All right. So, you guys help me. Oh, yeah, I like this. Maybe I should put this up on the array to make this easier on you guys. And when we're done with this, we'll head out. So you're all like, dude, speak quickly. All right. This lesson brought to you by Panasonic. Maybe we should turn this one around. There you go. Zoom in a little bit. All right. Let's take a look-see here. So this is the kind of thing that I would put, I don't know, on like a quiz or a test or something. I was going to make this group work, but then I just really hated how many trees I was helping to kill them. So researchers in Ecuador studying the link between the amount of wine in some of their drinks and the occurrence of stomach cancer randomly selected 41 heavy wine drinkers, 52 light wine drinkers, and 48 people who don't drink wine to be in their sample. What sampling method was used? Don't say anything out loud, just think about it for a minute. You can reread it. Now what people do is they see the word randomly, but the word randomly is a part of almost everything except convenience. So don't just say it's random because you see the word random in there. No. Sort of a hint there. It's not random. That's not the only answer. It's a more involved answer. Who thinks they know the answer? What type is that? Go ahead. Yeah, why do you think stratified?
Because it's choosing from different groups of people.
Yeah, so they broke up all of Ecuador into heavy wine drinkers, light wine drinkers, and non-wine drinkers. So they broke them up into groups. The population was broken up into 3 groups, and they took some from each group. Stratified all day long. So this also, I'm hoping, helps you see what kind of questions I like to ask. The style here. Like I said, I'm not going to ask you to define anything. You just have to know what the words mean and use them correctly. What's the sample in this? That one's easy. It's normally easier to start with the sample. What's the sample that was taken? Yeah, I like it. So what is it? No. I thought I heard a number. I'm sorry.
That's specific.
Not wine drinkers, because one of the groups doesn't drink wine. What's the sample, though? How many total people? Who is it? 3. Not 3 people. How many people? 141? All right. 93, yeah. And so what's the sample? 141 what's? Who? Beautiful. 141 Ecuadorians. Not Ecuadorites. Sorry. All right. Anybody from Ecuador? I don't want to. Oh yeah, I haven't said anything offensive yet. Okay. What's the population now? All. Yeah, it's silly. If you can write the sample, you replace the number with the word all, almost all the time. That's going to be, because the population and the sample are the same group, just one of them is everybody, the other one's a select subgroup. It's the same, not definition, but the same characteristics, right? They're both Ecuadorians. This one is a specific number of them, and the other one is all Ecuadorians. So when you're going to give me a population, say all. If I said there's Harley Davidson riders in the room next door, right? If I just said that, there's Harley Davidson riders in the room next door. Could there be 7 of them over there? Could there be 2 of them? If I said all Harley Davidson riders are in the room next door, do you believe that? No, because that's the population. So some people will tell me the population is Ecuadorians. I'm like, no, it's not good enough. Which Ecuadorians? Say all. Make it specific. Okay, I like it. I like it. If the researchers find that the percentage of stomach cancer occurrences in their sample is 3%, is that a statistic or a parameter?
Statistic.
Why? Yeah, it describes the sample. That's simple, right? If it was described in the population, I would have said, if the researchers report that all, that the 3% cancer rate for all Ecuadorians, that would have been parameter. That would have been describing an entire population. I like it. I like it. You would, Jeff. I know. All right, here's the one that people really love. What level of measurement? So don't say anything out loud. Nominal or all right. Number assigned to you while waiting at the DMV. Don't say anything out loud. Wait. Have you guys been to the DMV anytime? I kind of am. If anybody's never been there, I'm sorry. What's going to happen to you at some point? I apologize. It's a lot better. Anyway, so the number assigned to you, what would you say that is? What level? Ordinal is good. Ordinal's the sort of intended answer. What's a possible other answer I would take? Not nominal. Nominal's not good enough, because otherwise, why would they give out numbers? Could be, now somebody could argue interval. Why? What happens at the DMV? What do you get? You get like a bingo thing, right?
Yeah.
You're in G8. I love it. I love being in G8, G7. Oh, good. A4. Oh, shit. H7. Oh, shit. F. No, oh, shit. But at least I know that I'm the next person for G, right? So if they say G5 and I have G8, there's 3 more and then it's me, right? And the third person is going to be me. So you could argue that it's interval. That's why I say why. Because there are multiple possibilities depending on the way you're looking at the problem. So what I really want to see is you know what the words mean and you know how to apply them in a situation. That situation could have 2 different things depending on the way you're looking at it.
Could you say it's ratio because let's say there was 40 people that came in before you, if 20 people had already gone, then you would know that half of the people had gone in before you?
No, because the number you're given isn't really related to the number of people, right? Is there a 0? No, for one thing. There's no number 0 somebody gives out. Okay, do you see what I'm saying? So I would say nominal's no good. It's more than nominal. Ratio's too much.
So if this was like a quiz or an exam, would you want us to write out all the ones we can think of, or just one?
No.
An explanation?
The highest that makes sense to you. So you would either say ordinal if you just realize because that keeps everybody in order. Beautiful. Or if you said, wait a minute, I can subtract and that means something as interval. Beautiful. You tell me the highest level it is. You with me? Because if you write ratio, then it's also interval, it's also ordinal, it's all of those automatically. You just tell me the highest one it is. What about this one? I love this problem. You would, Jeff. I know. What's the data in part B? What's the data? What was the question that somebody asked?
Hair color.
Yes. So what level is that? What is the 30 and the 12%, all that kind of shit? That's just something somebody did with the data. Right? Don't look at the numbers again. So it's blonde, brunette, so forth. So that's going to be hair colors. Nominal. Kick ass. So what would your explanation be? Nominal, just names of colors of hair. So you're sort of giving me what nominal means, and you're applying it to this situation. Okay, I like it. Yes?
So the answer A is the interval?
Part A could be either ordinal, because it's really just to keep people in order. Or you could argue that it's interval, because then within like a letter, I could know how many people behind I am.
Okay.
Yeah. How about this one? Discrete or continuous, the fish weighed 2 kilograms. Interesting. What's the variable? What's the question that was being asked about fish? Weight. What could the weight be? Again, don't look at the specific number. Yeah, it could be 2.109645, right? And that would be a valid way to answer this. You could say continuous because it could actually weigh 2.017465 dot. That would show me you understand. You can you can measure as precisely as you want to, and it still makes sense. It doesn't skip any possible values. You could even just say that the weight wouldn't skip any possible values between 0 and whatever the biggest freaking fish is. Okay, maybe. Average number of TVs owned was 2.3. Yes, just because this is a decimal don't mean shit. The number of TVs is discrete. You don't say, well, it's 0.3 because it only works every third Tuesday. No, right? Come on, TV. All right. Almost done, guys. Almost done. You guys are doing so good. Yes?
Are we gonna be able to get a copy online?
Oh, this thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, if somebody emails me, I can shoot you this.
Okay.
If you want to. Or I could, for tomorrow, bring you in the answer key for this.
Awesome.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Somebody email me, remind me.
Okay.
I would normally call myself, because I've done that before. I call, hey, Jeff, this is you. Make an answer key. If somebody just email, remind me, I can make an answer key and bring copies. I like it. Good idea. Where am I? Oh, here. Sampling technique. This first one should be quick. What sampling technique was used for every 20th engine selected? Systematic, right? With the possible, problems it has, but it is systematic. I'm not asking if it was good or not. Just that it's systematic. Why? Every nth thing was selected. That's why. What about this? The soybean field is divided into subplots. So you should already know which two it could be. Plants are selected from each subplot to estimate the harvest. Stratified because it is sum from each. You could even just say that. That's a beautiful explanation as to why. Because it was just sum from each. Kick ass. How would it be cluster if instead I would have picked all plants from some plots? That's hard to say. That's a ton. All plants from some plots. Again, splash down, sorry. All right. Man, that's really early. Are you guys upset if I leave out this early? Anybody want to hurt me? Yes.
We didn't get a definition for convenience.
Oh, yeah. I sort of gave a definition earlier for convenience, right? It was just, I didn't even make an attempt to make sure it was random. Very often it's just what's immediately easy to get. Hence the name. But really, I didn't even make an attempt to make it random. Can you type it up? Oh, sure. That would be beautiful. I should type more, considering how I write. All right, don't get used to getting out this early, by the way. I'll be more in, my stamina will be up tomorrow. Gotta get back into classroom shape.